This is a demonstration. I'm going to show you how to create a population density map using ArcGIS Online. What this is a computer mapping software, or in this case a cloud. You can do this online, obviously. And this is you have access to because you're an IU student. Not everybody can do this. So let's take advantage of that and go ahead and sign in. You might have this automatic ArcGIS. This might what it look like when you first come across this string. Come down here to your ArcGIS organization's URL, and we're going to put in the letters IU. All right. That stands for Indiana University, in case you don't know. We're going to hit continue, and then you're going to use your typical login procedures that you normally would use. And that gets you to this page here. You should note at the top right, this should be specific to you. This should be your name and all of that stuff specific to you. All right, this is other stuff. If you want to peruse, have fun, go for it. We just want to, this case, for this particular activity, go to map. There's a whole lot of other stuff you can do if you really so choose and are really interested in this stuff. One of the things is I'm trying to do here is trying to create assignments that are AI proof. So essentially you are creating stuff that can't be done via Grok, ChatGPT, whatever it is that you choose to use. And I like that because also what you're doing is you're doing stuff, you're creating stuff that is unique, but also that maybe can help you out in the future. Hey, you're doing stuff that nobody else or very few others can do. Even our AIs can't do it. So various things we can do. We're going to stick to the assignment instructions. And so you see layers, tables, more, save, prop, all this. These are all things we're going to be looking at. So this first part we're going to do is mess around with something called the base map. So in this case, if you click on these three dots, you'll see base map shown there. It might already be there. Base map might already be one of these options, and it's the one with the 4 squares that make 1 square. What this is going to do is change the underlying map. And you've got all these different options. For example, environment map. I don't even know what that is, but there it is. Yeah, so it's going to be focusing on more of the physical environment stuff. Human geography dark map. Pretty cool map. So you have all these various options, and you got even more if you go to the Living Atlas, and you can then change the background color. So you can essentially play around with this stuff as much or as little as you so choose. Coming back up here, I'm going to go to this important one, this button called Layers. So go ahead and click on Layers. So that's one of the things we're going to be working with. Another thing I want you to go ahead and do, let's go ahead and zoom into a particular area. I'm going to go up just to the city of LaPorte, just because I know nobody has that one. So we'll go to the city of LaPorte. I could also could go to the search bar over here, and I could type in La Porte, Indiana, and it'll also be there as well. So there's the two different ways you can get to your particular random city that you've been given. So I can go to Add. So I'm going to go to Add. And these are various other things you can do. I'm going to browse layers. I'm going to now go to ArcGIS Online. And then I'll do a search USA block groups. And since it's block group boundaries, that's the one I want. Click on Add. And it should slowly add it to the map. So I go back here, click on that, and now I see my layers. And so what you can do is, over time, if you so choose, you can create your own layers. Let's say layers of those 10 things you did for activity 1. You can put those in here, add those as a layer. You could do layers on socioeconomics, you can do physical environment, whatever you want. But we're not going to do that in this case. We're going to keep it simple, just learning how to create a map. So what I want you to do here is I want you to first off take a look at what we have here in the layers and what we call the contents pane. The 3 dots is more stuff. If you ever wanted to hide or wanted that not to be shown, that's what the eye is for. Click on that, and that'll make this layer be hidden for the time being. As you add layers, this is just a tip, as you add layers, the one on top obviously, here will then be on top on the map. And so you can rearrange them and say, oh, I want this one way up. I want this one to be shown up on top of the map, above all the other layers. Well, you have to then pull it up over here. All right, so I go ahead and click on the three dots. I want to show table. Show table is going to tell me what I'm looking at. And so what I have is I have every single block group in the United States, 239,000 records, all being stored here. And so geographers, people like me, we've been working with big data for 20 years now. So while everyone thinks it's cool now to be doing this stuff, we've been doing it for a long, long time. If I go ahead and I move over, you'll see various data. So every single block group has a specific data for that area, for that specific area. So we have population, we have the size, and so then we can do population density. So that's the key one here. One of the things is people always send me maps and, hey man, can you make a map of this? Well, typically it has to have a table. It has to be, in this case, have something geographic, our block groups, with data. Persons per square mile, area in square miles, number of libraries, number of jails, number of people, whatever. So that's one of the things is geography. It might seem like, well, it's cool, maps. Well, actually, it's tables, lots and lots of tables. But we're cool. We're good. And we're going to work with that with this demonstration and make it quite simple. All right, so now let's go ahead and X out of that, and now we're going to work with stuff over here. And so over here, you see the filter tool. This is to say, you have a city that might overlap into another state. We don't want that. We just want Indiana. So we're going to do just the block groups that are in Indiana. We could do other things as well, but we'll just keep it simple. State abbreviation is, if we know our state abbreviation, we are IN. Save. And we should now see only the block groups in Indiana are shown. Once again, let's go back to search bar, La Porte, Indiana. Boom. All right, there's our place. So we filtered out. We did that. We satisfied that objective. Next up, let's go to styles. So here what we'll do is the styles is where we're going to add data. These are what we call in geography, we don't call it data, we call it attributes. But anyhow, so we're going to take click on field. So if I go back, plus field, and I want persons per square mile. That's, once again, our objective is population density. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, click on add, and all right, we have maps being made. We have colors being shown. We have high to low. Let's go ahead and work with style options. I want all of you to kind of play around with this and think about what looks the best. And so first off, high to low, make sure that that's there. We want that. Next up, symbol style. It's cartography. I encourage you to take my cartography class in the spring, and I'll talk more about this in that class. But we typically think of brighter things being lower values and darker things being higher values. So we actually, in this case, would probably want to flip this ramp. So I want to flip this ramp, and so what I just did was I clicked on this pencil right here. After clicking on that pencil right there. And that's what I can do is I can do the flip, and then I'll change them. Now this is all preference, personal preference, but typically in cartography, darker, higher. Let's just choose something, a better color ramp. This isn't really a good one to choose. Let's do heat or plasma or whatever this might be. And so this is a good one to use. We typically think of yellows being more noticeable, more visible. I don't know. I don't like that one. This is all personal preference, so I encourage you to peruse on your own and find one that works well. So we'll flip that one. That's one. I like that, even though it's grayscale. Whatever. You're going to choose whichever one you think is best. Next up, I want you to go ahead and do this one here. Based on the current extent. What that's going to do is it says, okay, well, this person's per square mile is based on, well, we got Indianapolis, in which there's a ton of people per square mile. Well, that's included in here. I want to just focus in on, okay, let's make things more relative to the area. And so that's what, based on current extent, is based on what we see in our mapped area. Important, you have to hit the refresh button to get that to trigger. And a very subtle change, but in your town, your city, you might notice more dramatic change. Make sure include in legend is blue. Make sure that that's shown. Next up, classify data. Go ahead and click on that. There's where you can then play around with other ways to show the data. I can add more classes. That's going to have more variation in the data. I can also change in terms of do I have it doing, is it natural breaks, kind of where it's kind of is logical? Do I have equal interval? Are the breaks all the same? So also this is another one that's personal preference. And so I'm not going to tell you which one you should do. I'm just going to show you how you can change those. Then go ahead and click Done when you are satisfied. The super important thing that we have to do is to save it. So go ahead and save as. And this is where you can give it a clever title like Population Density of La Porte, Indiana, or whatever your town might be. You can do categories, all that stuff if you want to. You don't have to. I would suggest adding a simple summary. And go ahead and save it. Alright, so it says it's been saved. Next up is let's add some stuff to the map. To do that, go to Print, and these are those key map elements that we need to add. And you should see population density of LaPorte, so your title should carry over. And so that's a good title. That's why we did that. Leave that as default. Show print area. Okay, I think in this particular layout of this city, I think it's good to have a landscape view. If your town was maybe more north to south, you might want to choose portrait. For example, Indiana, because of it being a north to south state, typically we do it in portrait, whereas a state like, let's say, Colorado or Tennessee, you'd want to use landscape, where it's more east to west shape. All right, go ahead and go back after choosing our template. I like where we are here. File format, very, very, very important. JPG. That's going to create an image. Next up, advanced options. Make sure you click on that drop down, and this is where you add your name. Not your name, your actual name, if you follow me. And then include legend. Yep, make sure that's checked. Include north arrow. Yep, make sure that's checked. Include scale bar. Yep, make sure that's checked. Click on export. And that took me about 1 minute. If I go ahead, I can open it. That's cool. Or I can also save it as. And then open it. And then you want to download that. And then that's what you upload and share to me via the Activity 2 page.